Do you know that portable power stations have changed camping to the point where even a tenter can have the ability to recharge cell phones, tablets, laptops, and cameras easier than ever before? Today, I'll talk about my Bluetti EB3A power station and give some shocking electrical history on camping gear with the Yankee Camper.
One of the challenges of camping out at a smaller campground or a state park or where I am here in the state forest is electricity. Now we've come to the point where we need power for lots of things. I use a power for my tablet, I use a power for my cell phone. I discovered that I would need to have some kind of a portable power source. So this is the Bluetti EB3A 268 watt hours. It's very small. I paid under $200 for this. Some of the features that it has is it's got 3 USB ports on the front, and one is, these are standard USB ports. This is, I believe, a USB-C port. It also has a 12-volt cigarette lighter so that you can recharge devices or use things that work off a standard 12-volt adapter. They look like this. This is actually the power charger for this unit. And in addition to that, it also has 2 positive and negative 12-volt outputs. To turn it on, you simply press the button and it will start this section up here functioning. In addition to the 12-volt section, you have an inverter. It supplies 2 120-volt outputs for powering your laptop or so forth. And in addition, there is a light. The light has 3 settings: lower, higher, and flashing, if you need to alert someone and get attention. I've used this unit for charging my laptop. I've used this unit for charging my cell phones. It works very well. It will charge my cell phone overnight and only use about 30% of its built-in power. I could charge my cell phone for 2 or 3 nights without a problem.
And speaking of cell phone charging, if your phone has the ability, you can just sit it right on top and it will self-charge wirelessly. When I attended the Boston Outdoor Expo, I used this unit to plug my laptop in and ran it for more than 3 hours continuously without any problem. Before I go on about how to charge the EB3A, let me take a moment to tell you about how you get electricity to your house. Many locations throughout the country purchase their power from large utility companies that provide electricity and gas as a business. But did you know that there are pockets of smaller, nonprofit, municipal power plants that serve local communities? A number of these are referred to as Municipal Light Plants, or MLPs. The oldest MLP in the country is in Peabody, Massachusetts, established in 1891. Wait a minute, I hear you saying. The Butler Electric Department in Missouri predates that by 10 years. And, while that may be true, and is the oldest continually operated light plant in the country, it wasn't until 1900 that it became municipally owned. Massachusetts had a number of MLPs in place before then, and many are still in operation. Nebraska has the largest number of municipal light plants in the country, with, according to Google, 81 communities being served by MLPs, and It's the only state in the country that has most of its power supplied by consumer-owned entities. New England, however, is a close second, with over 61 communities served by MLPs, 41 in Massachusetts, around 10 in Maine, and the rest divided among the other states. But the numbers are murky. As a matter of fact, Vermont claims 2 light plants are completely solar generated. Also, it's unclear how many of these municipally run companies actually have generators that produce their own electricity. But I found that none didn't rely on the power grid at some level to supply sufficient power to their local community. The system is complex with built-in redundancies to assure that the lights come on when you flip the switch. And although weather can wreak havoc on assuring delivery of clean power, it's something we mostly take for granted. Now, you know. In just a moment, I'll share an event that had a significant impact on transforming the system 60 years ago. But first, stick around and I'll show you how I recharge my portable power station.
Well, I've covered the output section of the Bluetti. Let me tell you about the input section. So that's down over here. And as I mentioned, I have a car adapter. This plugs into here, just like that. And this goes into a standard 12-volt socket in your car. I am able to recharge this while I'm driving, and it usually takes less than an hour and a half. And I don't let this get low. I think if I tried to charge it from 0, it would probably take 2.5 hours in my car. Of course, the other way to charge it is at home. It's with a standard electrical plug. This just simply goes into here. And this you would be able to plug into any 110 outlet at either the campground or at your house to charge it in advance. The last charging input that I want to refer to is, again, this port here. This will plug into solar panels, and I have a set of solar panels that I use for this. It's relatively gray here today, and so the solar panels wouldn't work particularly well. But they will charge this also. They're not as fast as your car, or they're not as fast as the house, but they'll work fine on a sunny day to get you back to full power. I'll show you those solar panels when I get back home. We'll set them up and I'll show you how they plug in and how they work.
Before I do that, however, I'd like to remind you that the Bluetti EB3A also works as a backup at home in the event of a blackout, like the one that happened in 1965. Where were you when the lights went out was a popular question for about 10 years following the infamous blackout of 1965. It was also a Doris Day movie from 1968 that played on the event, but that's not what I'm referring to. In November of '65, the power grid was running close to capacity in the Northeast in the early evening, with lights turned on, televisions running, stoves cooking dinner, and electric heaters all drawing power. At about 5:15 in the evening, a relay on one of the transmission lines in Ontario, Canada, did what it had been configured to do and shut down. Unfortunately, the relay had been configured incorrectly. The grid also performed as designed and switched to the next relay to keep power, but since the entire system was near capacity, it now overloaded and also shut down. The process continued until 10 states in the Northeast, including much of New York, several states in New England, and as far south as Maryland and Delaware, were plunged into darkness. Around 30 million people living in some 80,000 square miles lost electricity for as much as 13 hours. Oh, and the rumors that there was a spike in the birth rate during August of 1966 has never been substantiated. It is a fact, however, that the areas served by municipal light plants were better able to recover as they could disconnect from the high-drawing system and restore service to their customers within a couple of hours. The blackout did create some concerns about infrastructure viability and reliance on an overtaxed power grid. The event was significant in that it affected New York City, a major financial hub, and posed questions about what if it had been a deliberate attack. Following the outage, the power grid was reinforced with multiple redundancies, but it poses the question, could it happen again? Well, the short answer is no, at least not in the same way. In order for the power system in the Northeast to sustain such a widespread impact, it would require a well-organized, deliberate attack on multiple locations simultaneously. Nevertheless, ice storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, and carelessness can cause areas to lose power for long periods of time, even days. The Boy Scouts were right when they made their motto, "Be prepared." One of the best ways to do that is to have a plan, and part of that plan should include how to recharge the devices we've come to rely on for daily living. My EB3A is part of my plan, and having a solar option for recharging is also a piece of my plan. Now you know. Let me show you how these work.
I'd like to take a few minutes and show you how I set up my solar panel for my EB3A. It's pretty straightforward. I have a Rhenology solar panel, as you can see here. It just unclips and opens like so. Fold out the legs and lift it out of the case. Plugs into the port here, just like the car charger, and it's producing electricity. It's a moderately sunny day today. This is currently producing 16 watts of power.
At that rate, to go from 39% to a full charge would take about 12 hours. A limitation is batteries. However, battery technology is being improved right here in New England. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology first opened its doors in 1865 with the goal of being dedicated to the advancement of science. When William Barton Rogers first approached John Lowell with the idea, about 1861, such a concept was unheard of in the United States. There were polytechnical schools in Europe, but higher education in the U.S. was focused on educating young men with Greek, Latin, rhetoric, mathematics, and biblical study, along with some literature and other languages. But the focus on understanding science was unusual. The closest comparison would be medical schools. Nevertheless, Lowell, a member of the family that had grown during the Industrial Revolution, agreed to fund a significant portion of the institute. The problem was that the Civil War broke out just after, so the plans were put on hold. MIT struggled financially during its early years, especially in light of the fact that Abbott Lawrence, another of the Boston associates, had gifted $50,000 to Harvard for a School of Science. Despite the adversity, MIT continued to expand its program offerings, including electrical engineering, in 1882. Over the years, the Institute has developed advancements in understanding electrical science, which includes a focus on the electron and opening of Lincoln Labs in 1951 to work on radar. I can't go into depth on all of the developments that MIT has had a hand in, but I did see that a new battery technology is being worked on using disordered rock salt cathodes. The science behind it is well beyond my understanding, but the function is to be able to store electricity using elements that are in abundance, such as manganese and titanium, and wouldn't rely on materials such as lithium, which are difficult to mine. These discoveries may not pan out or may become cost prohibitive, but this type of research is happening in just one of several New England schools focused on scientific advancement. Now, you know. Having solar panels is only part of the system for turning the sunlight into electricity. It also requires a means of regulation. The Renogy panels that I bought came with a charge controller. While the EB3A has a built-in controller, this unit will allow me to recharge my car battery if necessary.
It uses solar. I'll talk about the solar.
If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to my channel as I bring out videos like this every week. Thank you for watching.